Ireland have a scrum on the right-hand side of the field, approximately 30-odd metres out from their own goal line. And just from the first few seconds of film, we can immediately see three issues with this attack and strike move. The first two of which come from the positioning of the scrum. As you can see, with the scrum being on the right-hand side of the field for Ireland, the scrum half for Italy has already detached himself from his usual positioning and began to manoeuvre himself closer towards where the attack will inevitably be heading, making sure not to give too much space for his back row to cover if Murray does decide to scoot from the base. The second important factor of note regarding the positioning of the scrum that massively aids Italy is a somewhat obvious point of how far out from the Italian goal line Ireland are. This subtly allows Italy to select a slightly more drift-oriented defence, with the intention of purely containing the Irish attack rather than trying to force an error. This combines with the early breaking of the defensive scrum half to mean that Italy not only have an additional player to match numbers in this equation, but also have selected the right mode and mentality of defence to extinguish this potentially dangerous Irish attack. The third initial issue that we can see is the positioning and premature movement of Sexton. Long before the ball has even left Murray's hands, the fly half already finds himself positioned tucked behind Aki at 12. Add all this together and the move for Ireland is almost over before it even begins. Murray, importantly for Italy, but possibly detrimentally for Ireland, passes from the base of the scrum to a fairly widely positioned Bundee Aki. But that ground pass, in combination with the positioning and premature movement of Sexton, means that now not even the Italian 10 but the Italian 9 can push onto the now ball-playing, decision-making Aki. Perhaps if Murray was to carry slightly in a minor attempt to engage the defensive scrum half who has left the base of the scrum first, before giving the pass, that may have potentially aided Aki in engaging the defensive 12 and sitting him down, but I don't even think that could have saved this move. Aki then makes a poor attempt at taking the ball to the line, barely engaging even the Italian defensive 10, let alone the defensive 12, thanks in part to the initial push from 9. Those initial three factors, plus the poor effort from Aki, all combine to mean that starting with the scrum half, Italy can initiate the domino drift defensive push. Every player now moving along one. Garbesi now defending the overs line of Ringrose, Canna moving on to Sexton on the unders line, and Morosi covering the additional shoulder ball line of Conway, leading to the inevitable matched numbers with the open side wing Padovani on the long ball option of Stockdale at fullback, and the fullback of Italy inevitably closing the gate of the double long ball option of Keenan on the edge, and thus the end of the Irish attack. Linking this back to another video in this episode, the way Italy had defended this move is very similar to the way that Exeter Chiefs defended the exact same move against Glasgow Warriors back in part 6 of the playoff 12. Go check that out if you want another example of how to effectively defend this move.